up, guys? Happy Wednesday. Welcome back to Sin City Crypto. My name is David. I'll be one of your co-hosts, and every day, like today, we're coming at you live from our studio. We have a fun show for you guys today. We're talking Liz, Gary, Tom, Jerry, and your co-host, Robin.
All right, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it? That's your intro?
That's my intro.
Okay. Hola! It's your boy, Big Rob, back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. If it's your first time checking us out, welcome to the club. How'd you find us? I want to know. We are an entertainment-focused cryptocurrency channel where we take old, boring, stale information, package it up in a fun and sexy way. And then also here at Sin City Crypto, sometimes I stay up late at night watching the price of Bitcoin rally to 28,600. Just saying, bro. Hey, man. Look. I'm telling you, it was 1:30 in the morning. I was over there doing some graphic design stuff. And I'm watching the price of Bitcoin go to 27 and 28, all in like one big candle, all in the span of like 45 minutes. It's at 28.6, and I'm like, if this thing hits 30,000, I'm streaming. I don't care what time of the night it is. 2:30 in the morning. I'm going live, baby. And then it rejected right off of 28.6, and your boy went to sleep. But I was ready. You
know who else is ready?
The like button?
Dogs are ready. Video to share. Very talented dog. And this dog possibly could win the Oscars. So, are you a dog person or a cat person, by the way, real quick?
I definitely prefer cats. Less maintenance. You can just go to work and not feel bad for not coming home for 9 hours or 10 hours. You got a dog. It's you got to go back home, let the dog out, spend some time.
Things are starting to make sense now.
Cat just, he'll do his thing. He'll just be sleeping and got the litter box.
Is that even a pet? Is that even a pet?
Autopilot pet. Exactly.
I want to know what the chat thinks. Are you guys dog or cat people? Put dog or put cat?
Wow, that's a good one.
Thank you. Speaking of dogs, I'm a dog guy. Here's the dog. Oh, no, my God. Oh, no. He's done for.
Yeah, I feel like when I used to work at the restaurants, there were people like that. Like, I have a headache. Oh, world is collapsing.
No, the best is in Vegas. Obviously, recreational marijuana is legal here. And so a lot of people will take edibles. And I can't tell you how many times I've seen EMTs. And I saw one time a 72-year-old old guy just like collapse. And everyone's freaking out. And then the granddaughter came up to me and goes, he took an edible. I'm like, what is wrong with you guys? I want to share something pretty interesting. And so this is from Homebase DAO. Homebase sells out first tokenized home on Solana. Now, there was one home that was sold on ETH. We're excited to share that the first tokenized rental property sold out in less than 2 weeks. Investors will begin to receive rent directly to their crypto wallet via USDC. Learn how you too can become a property owner. And in here it says, I believe on the bottom it says, no. I read somewhere else. So do you agree that the real estate market and the housing market is going to get an upgrade via blockchain and tokenization?
Yes.
Can you imagine?
But here's my caveat. I was listening to a Twitter Spaces with Grant Cardone. And obviously, if you're not familiar with him, really big, successful entrepreneur in the housing market. And he was proposing building by selling houses and investing in real estate via the blockchain. And there's a lot of missed opportunity there. And a lot of it is because of the SEC and regulation. And so
No way.
At
the
least
SEC
here in the States, it seems like we're probably not gonna take off into some real estate boom where people are investing in homes via the blockchain anytime soon. That's kind of what I've taken away from it. I'm not too well versed in real estate and how regulation is forming there, at least on the blockchain side. But from in-depth conversations that I heard, seems like it's a distant goal. So
Addie V said, as a realtor, I absolutely do believe it will. I believe it will as well.
yeah, it's coming. It makes sense. I think what you're gonna get first is gonna be the tokenization of assets. So to tokenize a home and then have the deed to the house, more like a digital identification where you can track and trace and transfer the ownership. I think it makes sense to keep it on blockchain. I think that will probably come first. But as far as selling and buying real estate regularly, I think that is going to be a little further down the road, and especially when it comes to investors and where you have large groups and banks and venture capital where they would buy big lots of houses, or they'd buy similar to mortgage-backed securities, but they're essentially buying large swaths of homes. That seems to be conflict of interest with regulators and SEC because those are just deemed simply securities.
There are so many ideas popping in my head. So, we covered in our FOMC show last week that damn it, I lost my train of thought. Anyways,
Crickets?
no, HELOC, home equity lines of credit, right? Those are on the rise. And so people try to access liquidity from their homes. Problem is, you need good credit and you need income. Imagine being able to, hey, let's say I need to pull out $50K from my house that I have 200,000 equity in. You can tokenize parts of that and sell it. People can buy it. You can pay the interest to them. And if you default on the loan, now they own that percentage of the house. If it ever gets sold or taken over, that's the money they make. You have that. You have people being able to invest in real estate without having to buy a home. Let's say I want to buy a home and I decide, hey, and kind of like crowdfunding, I can tokenize this home. You essentially have investors that own certain percentages based on how much money they put in, and you get to live in it. I think it's going to change the real estate game.
But now, think the exact example you gave, those are already being done on the stock market, and they are listed as securities. And so there's really no differentiating.
No, I think those would be security.
Yeah.
Like, it's an investment. Yeah.
It's an investment contract. It basically, it would have to be sold as a security, at least here in the States, unless they change the rules for some exception. But then why would you buy and sell securities, pay the fees on a stock exchange? So no regulator would ever destroy their own market for the housing market, at least how it trades on the stock market. So kind of curious on to see. Now, if we get a framework for selling and buying securities in a tokenized manner that exchanges can apply for and sell, let's say like Coinbase, hey, we're going to sell securities, these home securities as an example. We're not talking about the crypto tokens. And then at that point that you could do that. But we're just not there right now, man. At least not with regulation. Like how would anybody sell a crypto security? There's no possible way, right? Not in the States, at least.
Not right now with this current regulatory environment we're in. Speaking of regulators, we have a poll up. Who is worse for crypto, Gary Gensler or Elizabeth Warren? I'm curious to get this one. What's your vote?
Okay. The one that probably rubs people the wrong way has got to be Elizabeth Warren because she's just so spiteful. You just and Gary Gensler, he'll be like, well, it's could be 1930s law. He's a little bit more tries to not seem like he's attacking it. Elizabeth Warren would just be like, crypto is poison and it's going to destroy this planet. Is basically her narrative.
So is your answer Elizabeth Warren?
No, it's Gary because he wields way more power.
You think?
But I'm
Gary
just saying
wields
from
more
the
power?
from the optics. Oh yeah,
when in regards to crypto,
yeah. In regards to crypto,
Gary can't pass laws. Gary can be fought in court.
neither can Elizabeth Warren. She's only one seat, but
She does.
but until laws are passed, Gary Gensler can lead by enforcement and do whatever that he wants.
Who brings
So
upon these laws?
as of right now, if Elizabeth Warren wants to do something, she has to get majority people in Senate to vote on it. And if they don't, first of all, they got to propose a bill, then they got to vote on it, then it's got to go to the House and then to the president. So there's a whole list of steps. If Gary just wants to shut an exchange down, he just calls it a security.
Yeah, but at least you can take it to court. And fight
Yeah,
it.
but he deemed XRP or his predecessor deemed XRP a security. Boom, delisted.
Yeah, and then now
And then look what they did to library. Look what they did to library. Like so you're realistically making it out that Elizabeth Warren has more power than Gary Gensler.
Yes, because she helps write the laws.
She does not write laws.
She proposes law that gets voted
So
on.
you're saying the head of the SEC, which has led all of crypto regulation in the last 2 years, that has put every roadblock out there, that has sued Coinbase, that has like the list goes on and on, bro. Like Coinbase's services aren't there. Like the staking services that they wanted to have, those aren't operational. The list goes on. List an exchange that hasn't been directly affected by Gary Gensler and his administration. And then give me one exchange or one platform outside a Tornado Cash that was affected by government. Tornado Cash is the only one. And even with Tornado Cash, it had to be a popular vote. It wasn't something that she could do.
I don't know. What do you guys think? Make sure to cast your vote. We did do a poll. So
That's like saying, like, who's got more power, Jerome Powell or the banking president, of Bank of America?
I'm just saying. Who's worse for crypto? That's the answer. That's the question.
No, I literally said, I said, you think that Elizabeth Warren has more power than Gary Gensler? You said yes.
Because she has the power to
she doesn't have that. She's one person. And the thing is that there's no checks or balances.
Everyone listens to her.
There's nobody listens. There's no checks or balances for Gary Gensler. That's the problem with this whole situation, is that he could simply come out and just say, that's a security, we're gonna sue you. And you either gotta hike up $250 million to go to court and go through the stain, or
what
you settle.
laws does SEC regulate? The laws that are passed by Congress. Who's part of that Congress? It's
But
Elizabeth
no
Warren.
laws have been passed. So Congress has been stagnant and hasn't moved. It hasn't done anything. So you're saying that there's more power with a government branch that's done nothing, or or you can look at a government branch that has literally stifled our entire sector for the last 3 years. We have not, everything that we come up on here and we talk about that has not happened, all this innovation is going overseas. It is a direct cause and effect from the SEC suing and scaring and dropping Wells notices and saying halt this aspect. This all has come from the SEC. Tell me one thing outside of Tornado Cash that the government has done in the last 3 years. Any law that the government has
Let me
passed.
ask you this question. If a pro-crypto bill is passed, will that essentially neuter the SEC?
That's okay. All these pro bills have been written years ago. Nothing has been passed.
Okay.
So nothing has done. There's been nothing. Now, I'm not saying that for the future of mankind, there'll never be a crypto bill. Eventually there will be. However, I see no freaking bill passing anytime soon. The one that gets the most buzz is the Lummis bill, and they got to revise it and then reinstate it. So that one's not even ready. How long is it going to be? She originally proposed that bill in 2020.
Elizabeth Warren?
No, the Lummis bill.
Oh, yeah.
And so now we're going on 3 years, and it still hasn't even gone up.
Rumor is they still haven't even read the bill.
Nobody has.
No one ever reads the bills. I'm curious what you guys think. We're going to keep this poll up for a little bit, so make sure you cast your vote. Well, I want to move on too. So we know the Credit Suisse debacle, right? They were saved by UBS. Well, UBS couldn't save their CEO as he is stepping down. If there's anything I learned through the whole FTX, Celsius, Terra Luna, everything that's happened, and just my experience from following markets, anytime you have an unannounced, this dude stepped down, or a high-ranking executive stepping down from a company that hasn't been talked about or is just out of the blue, to me, that's extremely concerning.
Hi, Kelly, can you see me?
And so we know UBS went in, they bought Credit Suisse. Now the CEO is stepping down.
Yeah, I can hear you good, man.
Does this mean that the acquisition was a bad move? Did he get ousted by board members? Are they in deep water now because they took on more than they can handle? Who knows? But what we do know is we have the Fed and the Treasury Department telling us that the banks are safe and sound. On the other hand, you have Joseph Biden, of course, saying the crisis is not over yet. And then we have this. What are your thoughts? 9
hour ahead, I guess.
All right,
so
here's the thing. The federal government can forecast what's going to happen.
Hey, Rocco,
you're going to be showing some chart too today, or just
Rocco? Take yourself off of the stream.
Myself?
Turn your master off.
Oh,
okay. Rocco's mad at us for talking about So UBS, we're onboarding Kelly, so he's coming on soon. So do you think, am I reading too much into this? What are your thoughts?
So, okay. So if you had a hard time hearing that, UBS CEO stepping down, and what's going on here is that the federal government is trying to forecast what these rate hikes are doing, the banking crisis, and they're miscalculating. This is way too integral of a financial system, right? One, you think that it's all here in the States and that none of this is going to pour over. And what we're seeing is that other countries are saying that hey, we're not gonna print money to infinity to back the banks. But
we will change laws last minute.
But the US has said that, but other countries haven't. So what ends up happening is that these banks, especially we could take Europe as an example. The banks in Europe, their governments are coming out and saying we're not going to backstop and print to infinity. And that's just not what we're going to do. And so if you have a bank account in, say, one of these countries, and then you have the Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen, coming out and saying, hey, we will insure all depositors no matter what. What you're seeing is that you're seeing money leave other nations and it's coming to the U.S. bank. So we've seen a huge influx of money from foreign accounts getting deposited here in the States in the biggest account. So that's why you've seen the top 4 banks like Wells Fargo having a massive increase of deposits. What is misguided is a lot of people assume that withdrawals are going on from regional banks, which they are, but not to the magnitude that the deposits are. So what you're getting is all this money leaving offshore from other countries over to us. And then what that does is it causes a run on the bank in other countries. And so when these house of cards starts collapsing, what we saw with Credit Suisse, what do you think? What do you think happened to Credit Suisse? Think about it. The last straw was that investors saw that, hey, we can park our money in U.S. banks, not in Swiss banks, and it'll be safe no matter what. And so then you saw the last grouping of people move and pour into the U.S. banks. Now we're starting to see UBS CEO resigning. Is that a coincidence? No. You had the Deutsche Bank. They're having issues. I mean, think about it, David. If you had $5 million corporate account in Deutsche Bank, would you not put it in U.S. bank, right? In a U.S. based bank?
So you're saying because of the narrative from the U.S. that, hey, we'll backstop
this
all
isn't
the
a
major
theory.
banks.
This is data that has been publicly released and analyzed. There is a giant inflow of money from overseas because banks are fearful that their government is not going to backstop their deposits.
Yeah.
And so you're having tons of money leave foreign banks, come here, which sounds all fine and dandy until these international banks start collapsing. But then all of this is intertwined. Yeah. And so what you're going to end up having is you're going to have the U.S. bailing out, not U.S. depositors.
They already are, Robin.
Yeah, I know.
They already are.
I know, but you think it's bad now? The Silicon Valley Bank, a lot of that was tech companies in the States. Now, just imagine if some other banks start going under or need to draw on liquidity to facilitate withdrawals because foreign banks around the world are going under and people are freaking out. A lot of these deposits are going to be foreign nations. And then you're going to have not only printing to prop up the U.S. economy, but you're going to have printing because everyone's going to be like, oh, the U.S. is insuring everything. So just think about the ramifications of that. Think about how much printing we're going to have for every foreign company that's parking money in the States because they're fearful that their own bank at home won't back their money.
Well, with the Fed opening up their liquidity swap lines for national banks, I think that might help a little bit, but it's essentially the same thing.
It is essentially the same thing.
But it's printing money in the short term. They're calling it loans.
Now think of that. With the Fed swap, in case you guys aren't familiar with that, they're just backstopping foreign banks. They're
printing money for overseas.
It's a simple way of, it's more of a borrowing than anything else, but it's a simple way of thinking of it. They're backstopping foreign banks that are holding holding a lot of US dollars, basically. And you're going to have two fronts of printing. You're going to have one, let's just say there's some kind of global banking crisis, which we're starting to see the dominoes fall. One, you're going to have the pressures from overseas banks where if liquidity is moving to the States, they might have a bank run in that just because of that. And then we're going to print to backstop them. And then we're going to be also injecting capital via the Fed overseas. So this Balaji thing, man, I don't think Bitcoin's going to get to 1 million, but I'm telling you.
I think it's the underpinning message.
Yeah. Now, 90 days might be a little short. Maybe this plays out in a year and a half. Maybe it plays out in 9 months. I don't know, but definitely a little more worrisome. So I'll just leave it at that. I
had a legit conversation with my brother from another mother, my friend Sheldon. And I was like, look, man, I am genuinely concerned about the US dollar's dominance and hyperinflation. And he starts talking about, and he's a crypto guy, not as super in the crypto as I am. He's like, man, gold, silver. I'm like, look, bro, like if something happens and I got to use this money to pay for stuff, well, how am I going to cut a little piece of gold off? And so I'm like, what else is there? And we both agreed that it was Bitcoin.
I do want to give a little shout out to the chat real quick. If you're new here, say hello so that way we can drop an hola back at you. And we also are a little low on the like button. Have you liked the button? Have you liked the show? You hit the like button. If not, do us a favor.
The button.
Have you liked the button? There you go. So to some of our new people, we got number one. We also got Chase Morrell Crawford, Board Type Crow, Rob S. To all of you, hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto.
By the way, Rocco, the chat was saying you were ordering a hit on Elizabeth Warren. Is that true? Well, you're muted now. No, you muted.
It wasn't me. Yeah,
that wasn't him. Okay. I wanted to know, were you sexting? Were you looking at charts? Were you ordering a hit? But he wasn't. He was talking to our guest, which is Kellen. Let's go ahead and patch him in. First timer, Kelly. What's going on, my friend?
Hey, man, I'm happy to be here with you guys. How you guys feeling?
We're stoked to have you. Thank you so much, Kelly. For those not familiar with you, do you mind telling our audience a little bit about yourself and what you do, how you got into crypto, and then we'll get going.
Sure. I'm a Pisces. I like short walks on the beach. I prefer steak and chicken, either or. I like a little variety in my diet.
How do you like your steak?
You know what? I've been medium rare, charred on the outside, red on the inside, baby. That's how I like it, man.
Gotta be red on the inside.
And I can make a mean steak.
Robin can't, but continue.
But but we need people to eat them. If we're making them, we need somebody to eat them. But as for crypto, I've been in the game since about 2016. No matter what else I was doing, it was basically my productive time vampire. I spent almost all my time just completely, just as soon as I got in, I was completely enthralled and entrenched and wanted to learn and know everything I could about crypto. And yeah, I'm involved. I'm over with the HIT Network. I run Bitlab Academy and been building that. Also, we just started a YouTube channel there back in January and just crossed over 5,000 subs. So I've been crushing it every day doing that and trying to build out all the content for the back end for Bitlab Academy for the actual courses. And yeah, I'm just so excited about this. Of course, I want to make money, but I feel like one of the biggest services you all do, or any of the other crypto YouTubers do, the main goal I see with anybody that's really providing good content and honest content is just providing that roadmap to people coming into the space. This is such a new space, and so many people get in, they see other people that have made so much money, and they feel like they need to trade irresponsibly or leverage trade, or they're trying to catch up to somebody that made money. We're still like, I would argue, people say it's about 2 or 3% adoption rate. I mean, if you really consider it, that 2 or 3% of people that are in crypto, they don't have 100% of what they have in crypto. They've got, on average, probably less than 10%. So we're really still only at about a 1% adoption rate. So we're still early, and I'm just happy to be here with you guys, with anybody else that we can help provide this sort of roadmap for people to understand what the heck is going on with these markets, especially right now when it's so exciting.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head, man. For me, and I know I can speak for Rob as well, and Rocco, is there is a lack of information being unbiased information being provided. You go to mainstream media, CNN, Fox, MSNBC, they're bringing these hacks on that know nothing about crypto. Nothing. They're in an echo chamber of what they hear from their colleagues and Senator Elizabeth Warren and Gary Gensler, and they're spouting that nonsense, toxic bullshit to people.
They're handpicking them, man. They're like, hey, you line up with our vision here, and they just handpick somebody, drop them in, somebody I've never seen before, and then all of a sudden they're on broadcast television. I'm like, who are you?
I'm like, do you even know how Bitcoin works? No, you don't. And so I think we're very lucky, and we're so early in the space. We can carve out our little brand into this future massive space that we have, and people are already moving away from mainstream media anyways. And so I think we're in the right place at the right time. What you're doing is amazing. Also, we had a $50 super chat from Billy. Kelly, great guy. Bitlab, awesome. TA dude to Kelly. TA dude to Kelly. Change the game for Bitlab. Yeah, your TA man is great. I know you show some great charts. I actually asked you for some of the awesome charts. And we also had a five gifted membership from Dixie Flatline, one of our whale members. So thank you for that, guys. Thank you for all the support. What chart did you have up there, dude? I gotta take a look at it. You can't just tease us like
hey. What's going on with the markets right now? This is the moment. This is the moment Bitcoin has been waiting for, but we have to make sure we don't get too far ahead of ourselves and see something like this. We can't see this and say this is going to be the never-ending narrative, but what's beautiful about this is seeing, I don't want to say it's beautiful to see banks collapse. That's not the beauty here because it's terrible, but it's highlighting the issue with the centralized system, the systematic way that banks are basically organized to let you deposit money in there into whatever bank account you have. You no longer own that money, and then they're allowed to take risk on your money to make money off of you and give you a 0.0001% savings interest rate or some nonsense. And now the argument. And this goes back to your statement about the narratives. All these CNN news correspondents, whoever it is, I don't care, any of the mainstream media, there's very, very few, if any, pundits out there that speak with true sort of, not even authority, but true awareness about the how much transparency is in blockchain and crypto. And if we speak most specifically about Bitcoin, the removal of counterparty risk, and we look right now, I mean, looking at even this chart right here from Jan Wunsfeld, I mean, this is Bitcoin. This is Bitcoin. This is NASDAQ, SPX, and all these right here. But we're seeing the performance. Now, we can't just get locked into this and say it's always 100% going to be like this. We have to trade responsibly. But what we're seeing this year with the enormous amount of uncertainty in markets globally that's still shaking out from the global economic shutdown of March of 2020. There is no playbook for the Fed. There is no playbook for any government institution to really figure out what they should be doing about inflation, because there's nothing in history, especially since globalization, that we've had anything like this. But what we do know is that we can utilize, for people that don't know, now here's a moment that now you know, okay? Because the more you know, the more you can navigate. And with Bitcoin and plenty of other blockchains too, but with Bitcoin, all the transactions happen on a decentralized ledger that is agreed upon and shared between every computer miner on the network. So there's no counterparty risk. The only time you see people losing money in Bitcoin is because they went against the grain of what Bitcoin and crypto is supposed to be about, which is decentralization. They lose it because they're storing it on a centralized exchange somewhere, or they give up they are their own counterparty risk of not having healthy, responsible sort of practices in how they're maintaining their private keys or their wallets. But Bitcoin is ultimately immediately transparent based on the time that each block prints. We can see the behavior of every single type of cohort, whether you're a short-term holder, long-term holder, whether you're a small wallet, large wallet. There's so much transparency that this argument around regulation right now around Bitcoin and crypto just is mind-boggling to me, because if the government really cared about protecting its citizens and having safe and having a safe means of monetary transaction, they would have immediately switched to Bitcoin the second they learned it. But they either, one, are completely ignorant, two, are very negligent, three, are either ignorant and negligent, or four, just haven't had the ability to learn these things yet. So we need to be patient on the one hand, but we also need to be very, very forthcoming about your program here, Sin City Crypto, Bitlab Academy, BitBoy Crypto, Frankie Kettles. We got to get this information out. This stuff is the alternative.
I was going to say, I'm definitely going to go with D, all of the above.
I think it's hard to be patient when you see other countries start adopting crypto at a fast pace, and we're over here hindering it. Operation Choke Point, 2.0, whatever they want to call it. And so I think that's an issue. I want to talk to you about the U.S. dollar. So I have a few things I want to share. So we know, we've heard rumors, and I know you've heard it too, Kelly, because you're up on your news. Petrodollar is on the verge of going away. They're going to start denominating in Chinese yuan if that follows through. U.S. dollar dominance is starting to wane. We're seeing Russia came out and said, hey, all of our trades with Latin America, Africa, and and Asia will be in the yuan, not the U.S. dollar. Then we have this. China and UAE have completed the world's first yuan-settled, I forget what the L stands for, but something natural gas trade in a blow to U.S. dollar dominance. You also have this, Saudi Aramco to invest billions in Chinese petrochemicals. So they're investing money to build, China's investing money in Saudi Arabia to build an oil refinery. Okay? What are your thoughts? Are you concerned about, because we all live in the U.S., right? We have U.S. dollars. That's what we save our money in, outside of obviously crypto. Are you concerned with what we're seeing on a global scale? And what is your outlet to hedge against if the U.S. dominance does start to fall in terms of the dollar?
Well, it's a great question. I think on the one hand, I'd like to say that I'm emotionally agnostic to this and I look at the technical details and that's the only way I trade. But I can't say that. Why? Because I'm human. And and I'm also, I'm a U.S. citizen, so I don't want to see the U.S. dollar fall. However, I think when we look at historical trends of the world reserve currency, all the way back to the Roman Empire to now, we see it tends to shift and start changing. It's never a sudden shift. There's almost like you have an arc, and then you have another arc that's starting as another one's falling. And it tends to be somewhere between about 110 and 170 years, if I'm remembering correctly. And we're kind of on the tail end of that now already. And this wouldn't be some sudden completely new paradigm shift globally in terms of how we transact and trade. But, everybody's worried about the, WW3 and what that's going to be like. And I think what people don't realize is post-Cold War era, I think we've been engaged in ever growing, not only globalization, but as a digital economy economy and the digital world has developed, I think one, it's accelerated globalization, and two, it changes the dynamics of trade, and three, the thing that worries me about all this is that the U.S. dollar, because we're not backed by gold, the U.S. dollar is backed by essentially our military. So that's the thing that worries me about all this. What is there going to be some sort of manufactured conflict? Whether it's in news narratives that sort of propaganda support us into going into some other conflict to rebolster the U.S. dollar. I hope that's not the case. But I think at the end of the day, any investor, no matter the asset, whether it's actually thinking about the U.S. dollar as a world reserve currency, or if you're specifically thinking about particular assets, whether it's oil or gold or Coca-Cola or Bitcoin or Cardano, I think the nature of a healthy investor and healthy strategy is to keep an open mind and an ever-changing, adaptable philosophy about what is the new market stimulus, how can I adjust, and basically look forward, not look at the price today. Everybody's so focused on the price right now. The price is the last thing that matters when we're investing and trading. The price is only a representation of the speculative value at this given moment. But you look at the data, the inherent data, especially if you're trading Bitcoin and crypto, we have so much more data that we've never had before in real time. In previous asset classes, we'd have to wait for quarterly P&L statements. We'd have to wait for balance sheets at the end of the year. All this stuff that was so delayed, and people are still trying to forecast into the future where markets are going to be. That's how we choose what we're going to invest in. We don't buy something because we think it's going to go down. We buy something because we think it's going to go up. So when we're thinking about that in relationship to our investment portfolios as it relates to crypto, I think on the one hand, the most confusing part of the market right now as a crypto investor and advocate and trader is the fact that we're so focused on what's happening with quantitative tightening and quantitative easing in the U.S. Monetary policy and everything happening here. But we're also seeing stuff. Let me see if I can find this chart. I had it up. It's right.
Hey, we're not doing QE right now, okay? We're just doing loans.
No. But look at this. But this is we're forgetting about this. We're seeing it's not just QE or loans or whatever we're trying to call it here in the US, but we're getting these large market pushes in Bitcoin and crypto assets and holding up the traditional asset ecosystem as well, because we're forgetting that the US is not, we forget this as US citizens. We're very arrogant to realize that we are a cog in the wheel of the rest of the world. And what we're seeing right now is large amount of money printing, a lot of reverse repos we're seeing here, Chinese liquidity injections into markets. Japan is printing a ton. There's a lot of this going on around the world that we have not yet started really quote unquote doing in the US, but there is a lot more liquidity available in the rest of the world that we're forgetting about. And because the US' stance is so ignorant about what's happening with crypto, this also could be part of the narrative and part of the plan, or I'm not sure what to call it, with the eastern half of the world, with China and Japan and Southeast Asia and Africa, seeing that if we're being so slow to move on this, crypto's not going to stop. They're allowing liquidity to come in to help bolster their economy so they can also participate in one of the best revolutionary technologies of our time.
You're referencing basically the changing of the guard when it comes to the world reserve currency, with the possibility of China making steps, and that's kind of where we started their article. I do want to say that we're in a different time, and I know history always repeats itself, but instead of, with technology in the past, if you wanted to trade, if you wanted to transact without the internet in the past, you had to have one common currency that everyone held that you could swap easily back and forth between. Now with the emergence of the new fintech, both in legacy finance that is coming through CBDCs, the Fed now, and other payment style systems, the Swift system is outdated, but it is getting replaced. It is getting upgraded. With that, plus the emergence of CBDCs with crypto, and we're going to find ourselves in a situation where we might not need to rely on one currency to rule them all through the world to facilitate trade. And, we're getting a glimpse of it now in real time in the crypto space where, hey, I can transact with a crypto and you can receive on the back end. We can use an intermediary, decentralized intermediary for at least for our case, or in a global trade aspect, you can use some company that will say, hey, I will take your dollars and I will pay in yuan, or I will pay in rupees, whatever it is. And so, it's for me, I think that we're going to lose the hegemony, or at least the US dollar reserve currency we're going to lose that. It's coming whether we want to or not. And it's not because it's going to get replaced by China, which, it is leaning that direction. But I think that just because of where technology is in fintech, where we've made advances, we don't necessarily have to transact in one currency. We now have the technology able to facilitate that for us. So with that said, this is a great opportunity that we are absolutely fumbling, is where if we embrace crypto and we embrace technology in this aspect and could facilitate swaps between different countries, and they could unknowingly use the US dollar through.
I mean, think about it this way. Everything right now in crypto is denominated in the US dollar.
Yeah.
And you're going to lose that.
Yeah. And it's just, it's mind-boggling. We could be at the forefront of this financial revolution in the same way that we have been in the past with the internet revolution and other large world-changing, times where we had the Industrial Revolution in the 30s. We kind of led that. And anyways, it's
we could be at the
falling
forefront,
behind, man. Yeah.
But we're at the back. We're at the fight back.
I will say with all this, so one of the things this sounds like a bizarre sort of analogy, but I've watched a lot of political dramas, in my time when I didn't have my time completely sucked away with doing everything crypto all day long, every minute of the day. I used to have time on my hands where I watched TV shows, and in melodramas, political melodramas. One of the things I find interesting about them is it kind of shows, although it's fiction, it's based on a lot of truth. There's a lot of horse trading that goes on behind the scenes, whereas a politician might vote for something that you cannot believe that they voted for, but on the same time, you're not realizing that in order for them to achieve this other goal that you really wanted them to achieve, they had to horse trade to do that. So in that sort of sense, I think one of the things that I think we may be forgetting to realize through all this is that the U.S. and the world economy is in a very precarious place because Bitcoin is a better alternative. And green energy, obviously, whether or not you believe in global warming or not, it'd be nice to have a cleaner earth, regardless of what the policies are about green energy. So the thing about this decision about what's going to be legal and what the regulatory sort of considerations are with Bitcoin and crypto, I think there is a very specific concern with world leaders and economists that you can't just flip. You can't just turn off the banking industry and all of a sudden switch to Bitcoin, because you would have a larger number of people hurt by that, while you would have a lot of people become very rich. The disproportionate number of people that would be hurt by that would outweigh the benefits for the few that were just insanely wealthy. Now, so I think maybe part of this also is just a necessary, and I don't know what the answer is just a necessary slow narrative shift that needs to take place, and we're starting to see it. I mean, if anything, the fact that the banking system isn't 100% collapsing right now, but Bitcoin and the narrative and the understanding of it is at least broadly at the basic level known now, that even institutional players are starting to diversify and having 1%, 2%, 5% of their assets into Bitcoin and other top altcoins. But this shift needs to be slow because of the consideration of the greater good for everybody, but it does need to happen. It's just, I'm wondering how much of this is actually tactfully being done by the US, or if it's just because they move so slow. It's probably because they move so slow.
Probably every reason you can find in the book that makes sense is probably the reason.
And then Real quick, I just want to give a quick shout out to the chat. If you're new here, say hello so we can drop an hola back at you. And also hit the like button if you're enjoying the content, if you're enjoying Kelly. And then we also have I Bought Charlie Lee's, Riley, Cash In, Omni, Crypto Seeker, Sauerkraut, Black Knight, No Kings, and Dexter Big Bags. Hola! Welcome to Sin City.
I want to share a positive
shout
headline.
out. I wanted to shout out the whole chat as well, too. I've seen so many people in this chat that not only do I see on my stream, I see on nearly every stream that I tune into. So shout out to all of you hardcore crypto diehards out there that are just getting it in and helping build a community broadly in the crypto ecosystem. Shout out to the entire chat here.
Awesome.
Yeah, we're big believers in not being in an echo chamber of just one channel or one person's insight. You want to get multiple viewpoints.
But there is an echo chamber of Olas. If you ever, you'll see our community out there dropping Olas in other people's chats. So if you're wondering what the hell are they talking
Let's do an
about,
Ola train.
it's from here.
Well, I'll tell you this: if you ever see an adios muchachos anywhere, that's that was accidentally that was started by me at my first live stream. At the end of the stream, I did the ending credits, whatever, the end scene or whatever, and I sang a little fake adios muchachos song, and now it's become a thing on every show. So adios muchachos.
There you go.
Oh, man.
We'll bring in the Olas and you bring in the adios.
Well, Miss Teen Crypto brought a new term, Oladios. Like Ola and Adios put together. That was pretty good. All right.
Hey.
I want to share a positive headline before we share a more negative headline. So this is from Yahoo Finance. I'm going to read the headline. El Salvador's Bitcoin boom, how the world's first crypto nation's big bet is stabilizing its economy, proving critics wrong. And guess what? They're paying back their debt. I think we should all be rooting for El Salvador to be successful and set the tone and set a precedence, a foundation of what countries can do. Because if a country like El Salvador, who adopted Bitcoin as legal payment, legal tender, if now they're able to go from, I don't even know if I should call them a third world country, but economically, they're not in the top 50, to a top 25 economic country in a matter of a few years based off of adopting the Bitcoin standard, as many people call it, that can really, shut a lot of people up, put a lot of people in their place, and B, give people hope and be like, hey, if I'm a struggling country, what do I have to lose?
Big countries are going to hate. Big countries are going to hate as this becomes more and more successful. People are they're going to just do what people do when they see somebody prospering, and they're going to hate. But you're going to, like you said, smaller countries that might be in similar financial situations. There's a lot of African countries that are still relying on European currencies in the same way that El Salvador was relying on the U.S. dollar. We
minimal
could see
to
a lot of other countries do the same thing.
There's like zero to minimal financial infrastructure in some African countries, and a lot of people are saying they are the next continent, like the tech center, the tech hub of the world is going to be Africa. And guess what?
That's one of the reasons why I'm so invested in Cardano. Cardano, whether or not people like it or dislike it, they're seeing how fast the economy, a lot of the African nations are amongst the fastest growing economies in the world. And their infrastructure is so far behind the Western world that the fact that they can now really build out their infrastructure, integrating blockchain, and Cardano seeing that, looking very, this is, decades ahead, is really brilliant. But one of the things I wanted to point out about the article about El Salvador, which is very interesting, is the illegality of the IMF right now, because in their charter states, and I'm paraphrasing here, but essentially that any official currency, what do you call it, of a nation, and I forget the term there, any official currency of a nation that a nation holds, that they declare as a legal tender, that's the word I'm looking for, they are required to hold as well in their balance holdings on the IMF, so that there's not a reserve, but there's means of transaction between their legal tender and other world currency legal tenders. And so the interesting thing about all this is that El Salvador took on Bitcoin as legal tender, and IMF has completely gone against the legality of their standing charter about what they would do.
Well, they said they would cut him off. Right. They said they would cut him off from funding.
Was it Moody's also dropped their credit rating?
And then look at that. El Salvador paid back a massive loan.
What was the WEF or one of those alphabets?
IMF, WEF.
IMF. One of them. They had said that they were surprised that they were paying back their loans. They didn't go as far as saying that they misjudged, but they were like, well, that's good. We're a little surprised. So. Yeah. I think the narrative is shifting, at least on El Salvador.
Well, how could it not shift when the proof is literally in front of you? As you said, if their economy breaks out, and like Sri Lanka would be a good example. Now, not looking at the collapse of Sri Lanka, but perhaps the rise. You had a smaller country that was economically insufficient for majority of its time. Rise to prosperity, have a giant economic boom. I could see a lot of parallels between that and El Salvador. Hopefully we don't get the latter where the economy had collapsed during the pandemic era, but I could see a small country being like the epicenter. I mean, also you can look at South Korea, man. Before I think South Korea is tied too much to the.
Well, I'm just saying that South Korea in the past, is one of the fastest growing economic countries from the 90s on. I mean, they embrace technology, and if you find
Japan, but again, the problem.
What I'm saying is that perhaps El Salvador will be the economic powerhouse for Central America, or perhaps even all of Latin America, or all of South America.
I can see that. I can definitely see that. You know who can't see that?
Who's that?
Is Elizabeth.
Elizabeth. Yo, boo boo.
We gotta find out. We gotta find out her middle name. Rocco, can we find out Elizabeth's middle name, please? Thank you. So this is from Cointelegraph. This is the topic of our show. Elizabeth Warren is pushing the Senate to ban your crypto wallet. There she is. Why is she always so mad? Someone give her an edible. Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren is once again smearing the crypto industry and attempting to make Americans more dependent on big banks. Warren vowed in February to reintroduce the Digital Assets Anti-Money Laundering Act. While the proposal's stated purpose is to protect Americans from scams, it is more likely to drive cryptocurrency businesses overseas and weaken consumer choice. It prohibits the use of digital asset mixers and requires self-hosted wallets, like the kind you keep on cell phone, like MetaMask, like Trust Wallet, like Phantom Wallet, along with miners and validators to have anti-money laundering policies. Now you might think, oh, this is all good, it's fine, everything's gonna be fine, but that's not what it's gonna be. And I could have swore I had more highlighted on this article, but I don't. So what this is essentially going to do you guys remember the, I forget what the name of that bill was, and they might have changed the name, but it was, it defined the term broker as pretty much everyone, miners, software companies, anyone developing anything in crypto has to do AML, has to do KYC. So if you're a company selling ASIC miners, you have to do KYC. If you're a software company developing a decentralized wallet, you have to collect KYC. And so this is what's happening. And we had senators push back on it, and the bill died in December. But now, of course, seeing what has happened in the crypto space, what's happened in the banks, the shutdown of Signature, the shutdown of Silvergate, this is all ammunition that people like Elizabeth Warren are stuffing into the magazine of their guns, and they're getting ready to pop off at the industry.
Oh, bro.
That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
And that might not be the best analogy, but it is what it is. I'll start with you first, Robin. Do you think this has more? Oh, that was our thumbnail today. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. Elizabeth Warren. So MetaMask, where's the anti-money laundering thing here? You know what's funny is they constantly say that cryptocurrencies are the preferred choice for bad actors. but it's 20-fold what traditional financial rails are used, how they're used for illicit activity versus cryptocurrency. So, Robin, I'm going to ask you first, and I'm going to ask Kelly. So in December, it was shut down. Do you think this has more of a chance now with what's happening to the banks, with what happened with Binance being sued and saying they're manipulating markets and FTX? Do you think it has more chance now to pass, and are you concerned?
Her crypto bills have not even come close to even getting to vote, much less pass or fail. Like, there's she's loud spoken. She draws a crowd, but I don't think that her bill or her proposals will get passed. Now, you do have the one exception where it was the tornado cash. How did they put restriction on tornado cash? It wasn't a law, and so
they shut down their website.
They just ruled it. They just ruled it, and it was like they locked up the guy that was the coder. Which, I mean, it's a complete farce, is what it is.
So if it's
her middle name is Anne, by the way.
So here's the thing: if there's some kind of executive order, which wouldn't surprise me, there's been a lot of reports going to the executive office that is painting crypto in a very negative light. And it seems to also be obviously something that, with this whole choke point 2.0, perhaps with recommendations from Elizabeth Warren. She's a Democrat. So is obviously the presidential cabinet. And so could we see an executive order? Now, as far as a bill passing, crypto is pretty bipartisan. I think that she kind of stands out from the crowd as far as being as negative as she is. She's not the only one. There is a host of people that have a disdain for crypto. However, I don't think there's enough votes to pass into law anti-crypto, at least this style of bill. I think that there will be some regulations passed that perhaps will favor negatively the crypto sector, but I don't think that I'm not too concerned about this myself.
Couple comments I want to make before I ask Kelly. Robert Vermouth said, if Warren was around when Henry Ford, what happened? Where'd it go? What happened to the chat? Right, here we go. If Warren was around when Henry Ford created the automobile, we would still be using horse and buggy.
Yeah.
Can't argue that. Kelly, I'm going to ask you the same question as Robin. Are you more concerned now, or are you kind of in line with Robin that, hey, this is not going to pass? We have enough people fighting back against this. Or do you think with what's going on now, just like they're trying to push this TikTok ban, but we're going to go over that here in a minute. That's some scary stuff right there, guys. And that's why I say Elizabeth Warren and people of her stature have more power than a regulator who is following the rules and laws put in place by people like Elizabeth Warren. So does this thing have more chance of passing now? If it does, what does the industry look like? And if it does, and obviously if it doesn't, that would be good.
Well, I think it all comes back down to continuous and regular reinforcement of negative propaganda around ignorance, shaping people who don't, the general public. Most people aren't deeply aware of crypto, and they might think of money laundering and how bad crypto is for, name it, any illicit activity. But the question always for me is, how was any illicit activity done before crypto in fiat dollars? So it's a stupid argument to me. And I think that the likelihood that it's higher to be passed has more to do with wanting to pour a little bit of water on crypto because of the wonderful alternative it is to banks. And, we're talking about money laundering. Look at this. Banks almost hit an all-time high in fines of $10 billion. This was in 2019 for violations of money laundering policies. JP Morgan Chase itself exceeded fines of $2 billion. So what the hell are they talking about with this issue with cryptocurrency? If they understood this at any level, they would know in reality, and this is a bizarre thing to say, in reality, if they really embrace crypto more and let it become more integrated into the monetary systems as not necessarily a complete shift to, but an alternative parallel sort of tracked with the fiat money system, the more transactions that would happen in crypto, the more the higher likelihood is of them being able to track down the bad actors, the criminals, the money launderers, because everything that happens on a blockchain is tracked for the life of that blockchain. So it's like if you're so worried about this bad stuff, then your argument is kind of nullifying itself. I'm talking about Elizabeth Warren. She should be supporting the move to blockchain because there would be more transparency about how money is being spent. Think about the U.S. government. Can you imagine if their spending was on blockchain? That's why they don't want this. That's why they don't want this. Because now you'd see where it's all being spent.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah,
the winner.
The thing is that the reason bad actors here is because they operate internationally and they're moving money around, and they're just going to use the most efficient system there is. At the end of the day, technology is just bad actors are going to use whatever's the most efficient technology. That's all it is. In the same way that, like, you could say the same thing about cell phones. Like, drug dealers are using cell phones. Like, okay, yeah, it's easier communication than picking up a landline. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's better than sending a letter. And so if you're trying to move money internationally, quick and fast, you're gonna use.
You can't eradicate all bad behavior. You can't do it. I am sorry. Even if they ban guns, there's still going to be people who get their hands on guns and kill people. You're like,
well, I mean, think about in, for instance, in the U.S. in the Bible Belt, some of the laws or even just general cultural sort of ideas about X-rated content. Okay, they think it's so bad, but when you pull up a graph of what content's being viewed the worst content, the most offensive content is being viewed in those areas. And then in addition to that, you think why we can have this live streaming done right now? The entire advancement and the speed at which things have advanced on the internet is due to those X-rated content that people wanted to stream faster. So there's a good and a bad with everything. I think we need to balance our culture with a little more open-mindedness while also seeing that exactly as you said, Robin, you nailed it. It's not so much that they're choosing crypto because this is where illicit activity should happen. It's just that, I mean, criminal enterprises have a way to find ways to do things the most efficiently possible. And so if they're moving to crypto, maybe it's a good example to the government of ways that they can do things more efficiently also. Do we need to have some regulations? Yes.
If you're flying drugs from Latin America to the U.S. in a plane, you don't shut down the aviation industry. You know what I mean? Sure, it's just the quickest way to get it here. And that's all it is. And like the thing, it just boggles my mind that you're just like, hey, we can't control it, so in turn it has to be shut down because it's nonsense to me, man. Absolute nonsense, man.
You know what else is nonsense?
I love that analogy, by the way. That was great, Rob.
Robin I'm going to give him credit. Robin does really good analogies. Really good analogies. I want to share. So what we're going to do next is Charles Hoskinson put out a video yesterday about Operation Choke Point 2.0. There was a law firm called Cooper and Kirk, or I think I got it right. Right. Yeah, Cooper and Kirk, which is not a crypto law firm. They're not crypto people. They put out a statement, and it talks about Operation Choke Point 2.0. I'm going to read the first two paragraphs, and then we're going to watch Tom Emmer today speaking to Vice Chair Michael Barr from the Fed, FDIC President Marty Gruenberg, and someone else, and he spent his entire 5 minutes talking about digital assets. We're going to cover that, but first, here is from Cooper and Kirk, and I'm going to read this fast, but it's very intriguing, the summary that they've come up with. Recent stories in the financial press have uncovered a coordinated campaign by Prudential Bank regulators to drive crypto businesses out of the financial system. Bank regulators have published informal guidance documents that single out crypto and crypto customers as a risk to the banking system. Business in the crypto marketplace are losing their bank accounts or their access to the ACH network suddenly and with no explanation from their bankers. I have seen this and I've heard about this from people I know. So this is not BS. The owners and employees of crypto firms are even having their personal accounts closed without explanation. And over the past 2 weeks, federal regulators have shut down a solvent bank that was known to be serving the crypto industry. And although it is required to resolve banks to the least cost resolution to the deposit insurance fund, the FDIC chose to shutter rather than sell the part of the bank that serves digital asset customers, costing the fund billions of dollars. This pattern of events is not randomized. And I'm going to go full here, Rocco. This pattern of events is not random, and we have seen it before. This is not the first time the federal bank regulators working with their state-level counterparts have abused their supervisory authority to label businesses unworthy of having a bank account and worked in secret to purge disfavored lines of commerce from the financial system. Then it talks about in 2012 what they did under President Barack Obama. And then we have the video from Tom Emmer talking to the FDIC chair and the vice chair of the Federal Reserve about digital assets and Signature Bank.
For 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman McHenry. Thanks for holding this important hearing today. The collapse of 3 regional banks over the course of 2 weeks is directly related to failed Democrat policies. Record inflation as a result of reckless government spending led to historic interest rates that banks were not ready to manage. It appears financial regulators were not appropriately communicating financial risks of the high-rate economy with banks in their supervisory capacity, and this administration's political attack, quite frankly, from the highest levels of our government on the digital asset industry, which, by the way, had nothing to do with causing the runs, sparked fear, leading to bank runs at Silvergate, Silicon Valley Bank, and apparently Signature, bringing these core issues plaguing our economy and the broader banking sector to the surface. Let's not be fooled. Providing financial services to legal businesses in the U.S. should not be risky. But this past month has proven that the mismanagement of our monetary policy has apparently made it risky to put dollars in a bank. Mr. Grunberg, will the FDIC sell off Signature's deposits from digital asset businesses? Yes or no?
We're returning those deposits to the depositors, Congressman.
So, okay. Does the FDIC plan to sell the intellectual property for Signet?
I believe that's already been sold out of the bridge institution, Congressman.
All right. We would like to see that information. Will you commit that a bank that buys Signet will be able to use it to facilitate 24/7 access to the banking system for digital asset companies?
I'm happy to look into that. I don't know who the buyer was, but be glad to look into it and follow up with you in regard.
You're not going to block the buyer from doing 24/7 banking for digital asset companies, is that correct?
If that's the nature of the acquisition, yes.
And will you commit that a bank that buys Signet, or the bank that did, will be able to onboard new digital asset customers?
Again, I'd like to look into the transaction, but I'd be glad to follow up with you in regard to it.
When the FDIC sold off Silicon Valley Bank's deposits to First Citizens, did that include deposits from any digital asset firms or VCs in the digital asset space?
I believe all of the deposits from the failed Silicon Valley Bank were transferred to First Citizens.
Including the digital?
All of them, yes.
Were all of SVB's deposits from digital asset businesses, again, transferred to Citizens? That's what you're saying?
My understanding, First Citizens assumed all the deposits of the failed.
Has the FDIC ever communicated implicitly or explicitly, sir, to any banks that their supervision will be more onerous in any way if they take on new or maintain existing digital asset clients?
No.
Yes.
Thank you. The FDIC estimates that resolving Signature Bank is going to lead to a $2.5 billion loss to the Deposit Insurance Fund, and resolving Silicon Valley will lead to a $20 billion loss to the Deposit Insurance Fund. When the FDIC sold Signature, it had the effect of closing Signet, which is an innovative payment system that facilitated 24/7 access to banking services. Frankly, a private sector innovation that apparently will be rivaled by FedNow. Signet is intellectual property that has significant value, so I do want to see that sale. Chairman Grunberg, when managing the resolution of any failed bank, the FDIC is statutorily required to do so using the least costly resolution option, thereby minimizing losses to the deposit insurance fund, which is replenished by the banks through fees that are indirectly passed on to everyday Americans with bank accounts. I'm concerned that the FDIC has deviated from its statutory requirement to minimize costs here and has opted to pursue a lazy and destructive regulatory campaign to in fact oust digital asset opportunities from the United States. No bank is designed to survive manufactured bank runs, and in analyzing what caused this fiasco in the first place, many signs point right back to you and the FDIC, this administration, and certain reckless Democrat senators. I want to thank you again for coming today, and I appreciate a response to my March 15th letter, because to me it's still clear that we have a lot of questions that need answers. And with that, Mr. Chair.
Damn.
Kelly, what are your thoughts, Kelly? I don't know if you've seen this before the show, but what are your thoughts? And then we'll go to Rob.
You know what? I think it's wonderful that there are people within Congress now that have some idea beyond just the narrative that's being told on mainstream media. It's people like Loomis and Tom Emmer, and there's a group of other people within the House of Representatives and the Senate that are starting to speak up and see that we're losing a race here. And what I think about is, and this was brought to my attention from Ivan on Tech, but this reminds me right now of this right here. This is when the car started to become a thing, and people were wondering, exactly as you mentioned before, in regards to her regulating, if she was around, if Senator Warren was around during the time of the car revolution, we'd probably still be in horse and buggy. And this is similarly, they had a red flag law in the UK that you needed at least 3 persons shall be employed to drive or conduct such locomotive, and and if more than 2 wagons or carriages, blah 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 blah. Essentially, you had to have somebody walk in front of the car with red flags an eighth of a mile ahead of the car. What the hell is the point of the car if you have somebody you can only move at the speed of the walking of the flag carrier, and then you also had to have an engineer in the car. It's just people not aware of the technology and how and why it should be used. But partly to Congress or any government body's credit, our technology has moved so fast. Not only has our government bodies not caught up, our culture still, I don't think, have caught up to even the technological innovation that has come from the railroad and then the telephone and then the internet. So it's hard to expect to them to be on the very forefront of this new technology. But what we need is to have more open and realistic means by which government is able to pass laws, and they should have to take a test on anything that they're able to pass a law on. And if they don't know the basics, you don't get a vote on this issue.
You kind of... My thing here is that we need to be at the forefront of this. And I know we kind of led into this earlier into the show, but in the past we have embraced, because here's the thing, technology does move fast. With the invention of a car, it wasn't 40, 50 years for it to be a regular mainstay in a U.S. family's household. It came pretty fast, and you had to build the infrastructure, the roads, at a breakneck speed, and you needed to be a dreamer. That's what we used to do here in the States. We used to be forward thinking and say, hey, this is going to change our industry. Just think about all the possibilities. And we've done that with the internet. We've done that with automotive. We've done that with electricity. We've laid the infrastructure. We've been the model country to do this. And so it's in our history, it's in our nature to build out the infrastructure quickly. And we've done it time and time again. And we even did it recently with the internet. I mean, other countries were still using dial-up when we were upgrading to high-speed internet, and we were using satellites, and we built that extremely fast. And we could do the same thing here. The only difference now is that we're seeing a replacement for the dollar. We're seeing a replacement for the Swiss system. We're seeing a replacement for the world reserve currency. And we're so fearful of letting that go. And instead of embracing and adopting the new financial standard, in which the new financial standard is multifaceted. And we want to get stuck in this old analog system that has a handful of players controlling the whole thing. And it's just not going to be sustainable. It's not going to work. And if we don't get in front of this thing's going to come crashing down because other people are going to unplug and use the competition. And then I want to show once again, because obviously you got the FDIC, you got banking regulators straight dropping the ball. We showed it yesterday. I want to show it again. I'm just going to let it speak for itself.
Mr. Hollingsworth is now recognized for 5 minutes.
Well, good afternoon. I'm excited to be here with each of you. Before I get started on my questions, Mr. Moynihan, I wanted to let you know, Saruthi, raise your hand, Saruthi. She has been my team member for a couple of years now, but on Monday, she becomes a Bank of America team member, about which she is very, very excited. So I hope you'll take good care of her and know and recognize the talent that she has shown already in our office. I'm sure she'll do the same at Bank of America.
Yeah.
We will do that.
6
Her
months
father
ago.
already works for us, so he'll take care of it.
You
should have called us.
Well, good. Well, I appreciate the opportunity to chat about some of these issues today. What I'm really interested in is the state of the economy.
This was 6 months ago.
How are you floating your resume to big banks? I mean, you're supposed to be the ones, policing the big banks.
Grow up, Jamie.
There must be some kind of law against working for a financial institution right after you've been working in financial regulation, right?
No. Hey! Doggy!
Hey, come over here. What are you doing at Caesars?
He's a Goldman. Yeah.
Her father already works for us, so he'll take care of it. You should have called us.
Yeah, man. And so that's where we're at. 6 months ago, you're cracking jokes. My assistants got a job at a Bank of America. Hey, guess what? Your dad already works here, and these are supposed to be the people that are regulating the banks and supposed to be having legit, serious conversations on moving our industry forward. Instead, they're just playing favoritism games. So that's
Tom Emmer spoke about Signature and Signet. Well, we have this piece of news. Signature's crypto clients told to close their accounts by April 5th. Signature Bank's cryptocurrency clients have been reportedly given until April 5th to take their funds out and find another bank or have their accounts closed by the federal regulator.
it's less than a week.
While New York Community Bank Corp bought most of the deposits and loans held by Signature, the deal with the FDIC did not include approximately $4 billion of deposits related to the former Digital Banking Act. Let me ask you this question, man. Right? I'm a common sense guy. You don't have to understand banking and regulation and this and that to just think with your brain. With a banking crisis happening and New York Community Bancorp is not a top 5 bank in the United States of America, when money is flowing out of community banks into larger banks, why in the fuck would you not take $4 billion worth of deposits?
And did he just lie as well when he asked him specifically and he said there was no directive around that? This is why, look at my wallet.
But here's the thing, Kelly. The guy,
$0 in this wallet. It's all in crypto.
Gruenberg's gonna sit up there and say, we didn't stipulate it, they didn't want it. But you can't convince me that a community bank, that the entire sector who's at the verge of crisis, trillions of dollars have left community banks and gone into JP Morgan, Citibank, Wells Fargo, Bank of America. You can't tell me that these banks would not take $4 billion in deposits, especially for an industry that is void of banking partners right now.
Right, unless there was some other backroom arm twisting that they knew that there was other regulation coming in or some sort of stink on it I agree unequivocally with that case that you were just bringing up before. This is definitely, without question, a coordinated attack by big banks and tied in with the government. Big banks are what put most of our politicians in office. And you just saw, not only is somebody in office, but then their father is also working with the bank, working for a bank that then now you're regulating. It's like oysters in the sun after 3 weeks. It does not smell good.
That's an interesting analogy.
I grew up in Chesapeake Bay. I know what them things smell like when the tide comes out. I want to give a little shout out to the new people in the chat. If you're new here, say hello so we can drop an hola at you. And also hit that damn like button. You're all slacking. Thank you. And so we got JD, Juggernaut, Grid, TFP, Crypto, Redbot, Nail Biting for Fun. We also got Burned by Saitama. That's an interesting name. Juggernaut, Todd, Gianluca, Selva, and Sachin Kumar. We also got Vagnow and Generic Josh RLS. And also, big shout out to Jimmy gifted 10 memberships as well. Sin City Crypto Hype Man himself.
Thank you, Jimmy. We appreciate
it. Welcome.
I want to talk about... Hola. Well, we're going to get a real hola from you at the end. So you save the good one for the end, all right?
Sí, señor.
Also, if guys, there's about 256 of you watching. And I know a lot of you are new. So if you're new, please say hello. We have a very... fun, exciting, helpful, and inclusive community. I hate using that word inclusive because it's gotten a bad rap. But everyone's nice in the community, so say hello. Make yourself known, and we will bring you in to the Sinner community. So I want to move on
where are you watching from? Let us know in the chat where you're watching from. I'd like to see how far we're spreading.
You're trying to get people
baby. Just a city in a state.
Yeah, city or state.
Don't need your address.
You know what?
Yeah.
You want to throw your social security number in there? Do that too. I'm just kidding. Do not do that. Don't do that. All right. So VPN users risk 20-year jail sentence in the U.S. under the new Restrict Act. So this is known as the TikTok Ban Act. But we all know these slimy, greedy piece of crap politicians. We know what they do. They like to sneak in a bunch of BS on the back end. People aren't going to read it. And then, bam, all of a sudden we get any cryptocurrency exchange that's not registered, you are banned from using it. Like, what? What do you mean? What do you mean? Well, it's right here.
There is a sheep in wolf's clothing with this one.
It's in the bill.
Yeah, you didn't see that provision on page 3,265, and you only had a week to read it. You didn't read that?
And you used a VPN? 20 years in jail. 20 years. People who abuse children don't even get 20 years in jail. I can go on and on about all the crimes committed that people don't get 20 years in jail. Okay?
This is they're blanketing it. They're covering it up. TikTok, wolf in sheep's clothing.
They're creating a gray area.
This is overreach and communism at its best, bro.
Wow.
Right? I mean, is it not? I mean,
it's an underreach,
20 years.
It's a reach around.
What is okay? Think about this. What is China known for? Right? I mean, they're known for TikTok, but what is China known for? Okay, they're known for controlling the content and the media and punishing you if you go to foreign websites. They deem you as a spy. Anyways, they monitor your activity, and if you're interacting with content they don't deem appropriate, you get thrown in jail or worse. And this is exactly that. If you use a VPN and you use an app they deem for a
could be
foreign
MetaMask.
App,
it could be
exactly, man. And anyways, if I want to go to a Chinese website, let me do that. I mean, I'm not advocating it, but in the same way, if a Chinese citizen wants to go use Google, should he be thrown in jail? No. If an American citizen wants to use TikTok, should he be thrown in jail for 20 years? Like, this is so insane to me. Like, what country are we living in, man? This can't pass. There's no way this thing can pass. There's no way. And there's no way.
It's got bipartisan support, bro.
Well, BitBoy mentioned earlier today on his show, and I think it has a lot of merit. I think what we see very often with when bills and legislation is proposed is they go so far beyond the scope of what they're intending that when they back it off, it's like they're giving us an olive branch when in reality that's what they really wanted in the first place. Yep. But if they start with what they want, then it still gets backed off. So I'm hoping at minimum or at maximum, I should say, I'm hoping at maximum that's what their intention is with this. But again, it just stinks to high heaven. It angers me. I used to be, I was in the military, so I was as patriotic as they can. I'm from Texas originally, and the older I get, the more distrusting and angry I get with the government about how they go about navigating us out of the rights that we should be having.
We did have a super chat, Zoltan $5. He says, I haven't heard anyone address how the U.S. has the authority to shut down Signature Bank. Why Signature Bank isn't challenging this? Well, it's FDIC can, if they deem a bank a systemic risk, they can come in and shut it down. Yep. They don't need approval from anybody. Yep. In the past, it is basically a bank's not going to try to shut itself down a lot of the times, and it actually would be illegal for them to stop letting customers withdraw. So at some point, the FDIC is going to witness a bank collapsing, and what they'll do is they'll come in and it's 100% the framework of how they operate. They come in and take over the bank without the bank's permission. That's how it runs. That's how they stop bank runs. However, what we have here is we have a provision. We have a situation where they took over a bank because they were facilitating crypto transactions, and they took over that bank saying, hey, they were running the risk. Nobody was doing a run on the bank.
They were, but they serviced the withdrawals, and by Sunday, they came out and said those withdrawals had tapered down. And they were ready to open back up on Monday.
This goes back to that coordinated effort thing, though. Would they have wanted to fight it? I'm sure. But the problem is because the narrative and social media and all these things move so fast, the value of their assets and the value of that brand got completely demolished within about under 3 days. And for them to then go into a lengthy battle and spend, hundreds of millions more to fight it, and then you basically have that stain, regardless of if they're right, have that stain on their reputation and a negative brand image that is then created, falsely manufactured by these actions from the FDIC and from the campaign against them. It becomes not worth it. It's like, okay, well, just get me out at whatever I can get out. So it's complete government manipulation of a system or in this case, an institution that is helping fostering this other alternative financial rail, being crypto, digital assets, that is threatening them, that they just came down and squashed the brand so hard it wasn't worth their energy and time to fight it because their brand was already destroyed.
That's a good point, man. I just want to read a few things from the bill here. So they love acronyms, right? So the Restrict Act stands for Restricting the Emergence of Security Threats That Risk Information and Communications Technology Act. Wow, what a great name. A bill dubbed the Restrict Act that was submitted to Congress could have severe consequences for VPNs in the U.S., also known as the TikTok ban bill. If the bill is passed, it would attempt to identify information and communications technology products and services holding that pose undue or unacceptable risk to the U.S. This could include VPNs if they are used to access banned websites such as TikTok. The bill specifically directs the Secretary of Commerce to, quote, identify, deter, disrupt, prevent, prohibit, investigate, or otherwise mitigate national security risks associated with technology linked to countries adversarial to the U.S. So here's a scenario. North Korea has hacked decentralized applications for $10 billion, and they're using it to build nuclear weapons. They are a direct threat to our economy. We are shutting down these following decentralized applications. And if you use a VPN to try to get one, or if you use a VPN to try to get your money off of it, you can go to jail for 20 years. The bill also has a long list of communication technologies it intends to scrutinize. These include web hosting, cloud services, content delivery services, drones, payment apps, gaming apps, AI, and e-commerce. Now, of course.
So everything on the internet, essentially.
Of course, they're going to say, no, guys, we're not going to ban crypto. This is not for crypto. And then once they lull everyone to sleep, pass the bill.
We saw with the Patriot Act, that one got overused and abused and still around. And God, man, it's something like this passes. It's going to be used in so many different areas that it wasn't intended. Yeah. I do want to say we're almost at 200 likes. Let's get the like button up. If you haven't hit the like button, we're almost there. See if we can get to 200. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right. I want to move on from VPNs. And by the way, Kelly, I know we slated you for 30 minutes, but we've kept you an extra 30 minutes. So in 3 days.
Hey, I'm here with you guys.
You're good?
I'm here with you. I just have one request. Everybody out there, hit that like button. And I don't care if you're a Dom, hit that sub.
That's right. Yes. Also, go follow Kelly Kellen on Twitter at Kelly Kellen. We got the link to that in the description of this video. So we know Binance got hit with that CFTC lawsuit. We had someone in here saying this is why this channel only has 200 views because it's a fake lawsuit. Well, it wasn't a fake lawsuit. It was a real lawsuit. Now, the merits of that lawsuit, we can argue the lawsuit itself was real. And it's caused some reverberating effects in the market as users rush to withdraw $1.6 billion from Binance. After the CFTC lawsuit was announced, Reuters reported that investors withdrew $1.6 billion from Binance since Monday due to legal actions from the CFTC. While Binance had negative net flows in the past 24 hours, some of its competitors witnessed positive ones. Bitstamp had a deposit of $12.48 million, while $11 million was deposited into Gemini. So where the hell did the other some odd billion go? So we saw a massive Binance bank run after FTX collapsed. I believe it was $5 billion in a matter of 2-3 days. They're fine. $1.6 billion. Now, I did see some stuff on Reddit about people trying to withdraw from Binance.us and they're getting error messages, but I haven't dug deep into that as far as, hey, is it legit? What's going on? They're saying when they go to onboard, completely fine. When they go to offboard, the payment method, the ACH method they had selected is when they go to click it, it says new payment method is needed. And then it gives them glitches. They aren't able to do it. Kelly, have you heard anything about people having an issue getting their money off of Binance or Binance.us? Or what do you know about this situation?
No, I haven't heard any of those issues. But again, and I don't know what the tact is here. I don't know. On the one hand, this could be like 7D chess going on right now because there's also an unnecessary, it's to our favor, I think, but there's an unnecessary battle between our government bodies here in the U.S., between the SEC and the CFTC about who, where, and why and how are going to regulate and have oversight over things in crypto. And we see this argument that's been going on. It's just been dragging on for years now about what's a security, what's a commodity, and even listed in that lawsuit or however you want to phrase what that action is, they did list Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Ethereum, and I think one or two others as commodities. So I'm kind of my hopium, and I don't think this is fully the case. My hopium with this is maybe there's a little bit of tact here between the CFTC and just like the reason why they're doing this is trying to get the commodity sort of argument stronger based on how this sort of plays out. But then following that, almost immediately after, was that article about Binance CEO having deeper ties to China than previously expected. So I think all of this is so muddy because of the narratives that are being created. Some of them propaganda, some of them true. It really just kind of re-illuminates everything going on in the mainstream media right now. We have no idea what's true because they cherry pick facts and create a narrative. It's like reality shows. There's nothing real in reality shows. They film for 6 weeks and make a 30-minute show completely sculpted into the narrative they want. And I think that's what's happening with the news media right now with crypto. So yeah. I haven't seen any issues with withdrawals, but again, what's the tact here? I'm not sure.
Guys, I want to know what the chat thinks. Do you guys think this whole CFTC complaint, and they had 300 accounts, in-house accounts trading against people, and CZ had ties to China for 7 years that he didn't say, all this blah, blah, blah. Do you think Binance is actually in trouble? Put a 1. If you think that this is just FUD, put a 2. So 1, if you're concerned about Binance. 2, if you think this is just FUD. Let us know what you think. We're curious. And there is no 3, Kelly.
I'm putting 3. I'm putting 3 for a little bit of both. I think there's probably some FUD and some truth in it. I think it's going to kind of split the line, but I think it's going to end up being FUD overall.
I agree. I think it is FUD. What I don't think is FUD, just to kind of circle back on what we were ranting on yesterday, is the multitude of accounts that Binance was using to trade on its own users, or at least the charges that the CFTC has brought against Binance. So I know a lot of people aren't talking about that, and I want to put that at the forefront. It's not okay. Not okay.
It's not
trade
okay.
on your own people, man. I'm telling you. I don't know why this. I don't understand why this isn't a bigger story than it is. I don't know why everyone else is calling that FUD. I was literally watching another channel today. They're like, "Oh, this Binance FUD with this whole trade, this whole extra accounts." I'm like, bro. I'm like, unless it's a straight up lie. If you got 300 accounts and you're dumping on your own people, that is no worse than FTX having no limit on their liquidation points on their own accounts. If anything, you can say it's worse because you're just liquidating your own customers by manipulating price. I know it's not a surprise that this is happening and everyone knows it's normal, but still doesn't make it okay, man.
But you have to ask yourself, after the FTX debacle, I mean, I feel like it would be incredibly stupid with the amount of attention that's on the crypto space right now for an exchange like Binance to knowingly, maybe there are some people within the institution that have found a way to do it, but I can't imagine that CZ sanctioned it because of the amount of regulatory scrutiny that exchanges are coming under right now. Everybody's trying to show that they are as transparent as possible. So it would be, in my mind, counterintuitive. Then again, a lot of the things that happen on large institutional levels are counterintuitive. So who's to say?
It could have also been before the FTX. This could be an ongoing investigation. A lot of times these charges don't come to light until years after.
Like 6 months ago or 4 years. Yeah.
I'd actually be surprised if this was something that was happening regularly after the FTX. Obviously everyone's making money. Nobody's really paying attention. I don't know. And I could see a situation where these are just bogus claims. I lean more towards, I believe that this is common practice for exchanges, for some of these institutions. We all talk about price manipulation, and I think it starts at the top at the exchanges. So it wouldn't surprise me if this is true, because I do think it's common practice, and I think all of us kind of agree this does happen. We would just like to think it doesn't happen. We would like to hope that Binance isn't doing it. And when this comes to light, I mean, at the end of the day, as much as we don't want regulation, we don't want prices to crash. At the end of the day, if somebody's committing fraud, I want them put on blast, man. Even if it is somebody that you look up to, like CZ, whatever. Like if you're, you make a mistake, and we see it in our banking all the time. These companies making fraud, and then they end up, atoning for their practices. They pay a fine or whatever, and they move on. And I'm not saying that, hey, we should close Binance down, but
must go on.
But at the same time, if you're over here, dumping on your own freaking people, man, let's put them on blast, man.
But you know what's interesting? I got a notification ding to my ear, and I opened up what the message was, and it's just so happens maybe they're watching this show, maybe this was earlier, I can't tell. But this narrative, this is working. Not only do we see the numbers there, but the question I got on Twitter from somebody says, sorry to bother you. I just wanted to ask what you think the best way to buy crypto is. I'd previously used Binance, but with the CFTC thing and the withdrawal potential issues, now I'm worried about where. So this narrative is having an effect on the general populace. And I think this takes us back to healthy practices as an individual within crypto, regardless of if you're using Binance before or Coinbase or FTX or whatever asset, whatever centralized onboarding exchange you're using. I think it's important to remind everybody that these exchanges are meant to be utilized to maybe make acquisitions and purchases. They're not meant to be used to just full on buy and then store them on there. Use common sense and diversify your holdings, not even into one wallet, not just Trust Wallet. Have some of your assets on Trust Wallet, on Ledger, on Trezor, have your assets stored across multiple things, and have a few different preferred exchanges that you utilize so that you're not immediately crippled if one centralized institutional exchange gets some sort of governmental action put towards it, like Binance is having right now. And then you're not affected. You're able to be more nimble. You're able to adjust to the space because you have multiple avenues and you're treating your assets responsibly.
Here's what I say all the time, and I'll say it again. Just keep it simple, right? KISS, keep it simple, stupid. Exchange, use it to exchange. Wallet is used to hold your money. That's where you hold your crypto, in a wallet. Exchange money, wallet, hold your crypto.
And if you try to leverage your crypto with a ton of risk, you're gonna get burned.
That's right. Kelly, thank you so much for joining us, my friend. Is there anything you would like to leave us with? Which, by the way, before you do that, guys, if you are not following Kelly, go follow him on Twitter at Kelly Kellum. He's got all the links to Bitlab Academy and everything he does in his Twitter bio. We also have that link in the description of this video. So with that being said, Kelly, anything you want to leave us with before we let you go?
All right, man, I really appreciate you guys bringing me on. You got a great community. You all are doing a wonderful thing. Keep doing what you're doing. I also do my own morning show with Bitlab Academy, which is on at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every day. We cover everything from TA to concepts and strategies. This is, of course, free content. We also, of course, have our bitlabacademy.com, which we're about to relaunch with so much new content. So check that out. But that's all I got. I hope everybody just stays nimble, stays adaptable, protect yourself, and explore as much knowledge as you can, especially where we're at in the market right now, so that you can dominate profits at the top of the market. That's all I got to say. Thank you for having me.
Amen to that, my friend. But before we let you go, Robin, we got to initiate Kelly.
We don't need that hola. You got to put a lot of rasp in that voice. Put it out loud. Hola. You know what I'm saying?
I said hola, 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 and adios, muchachos.
And hola, adios. Kelly, thank you so much, man. We look forward to having you back on again, my friend. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you next time.
Awesome, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Thank you again, guys.
Thanks, brother. You too. Bye-bye. All right. We are done. Guys, also, go follow us on social media. We're at Sin City Crypto 1 on Twitter. We have all the other social media platforms that we have in the link in the description.
We got a few new people. We got Stephen T, Kings, Randomness, Richie, John Clay, BC, Elf, Isaac, W, Crypto, INS, Bobby Black, Bradley, TTC, Will Yum Yum. Hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto.
Also, if you're new here and enjoy the content, make sure to subscribe, ping the notification bell, so you know when our videos are coming out. We go live Monday to Friday, 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. With that being said, Rocco. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. We hope you had as much fun as we did bringing some content and information to you. Make sure to come back tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. On behalf of myself, Robin, and Rocco, we love you guys. Until tomorrow.